Absolutely.
So we have our final guest, and I'm just going to introduce her.
Yes, I would like to present to you Miss Katrina Brooks from Black Pearl Books. Oh, that rhymed. I like that. Good evening and welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Good evening. Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. So, tell us about you.
Well, I am the founder and co-owner of Black Pearl Books. We are a Black woman-owned independent bookstore in Austin, Texas. We are the only Black bookstore in Austin.
Wow.
Yep. And our mission is to promote diversity, inclusion, and representation through literature. So, in a nutshell, that's who we are.
And what
Wow.
year did you open?
What year did I open? So I started operating in November of 2019, but I actually started doing pop-ups and markets. And I did that for about 4 months before everything shut down because of COVID and
Right.
like we weren't doing any markets or any outdoor activities. I had an online store though that I had already gotten up and going. And so I switched everything to online. So although I wasn't doing markets, I was able to still utilize my online store.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, with George Floyd and the social justice movement and all the things that were happening in the summer of
People were
2020,
clamoring for those books.
people were exactly. And so the month of June, like literally within a 30-day time frame, we got over 10,000 online orders. And that's just orders, not, many orders had 2 to 3 books. But we had, yes, like this influx of online orders. And so operating out of our home, our garage ended up being like a distribution warehouse. We were getting pallets of books. And so I had just started the business. It was me. Luckily, it was summer. So my kids were home. They were middle school at that age. So they were home to help out, had some friends come over, but it was still in the middle of COVID. So we were really limited to the number of people that, we could have come help. But I will say that was a success of, with all the tragedy that happened during that summer. It was a success story for us. It really catapulted our business. We went from starting doing pop-ups and markets to what I call an online, or I mean a long-term pop-up. We were in a we were subleasing about 200 square feet in a nonprofit for about a year. And then we moved from there and we've been in our current location for 2 years. So we've seen a lot of growth in the last 4 years of business.
Well, what's interesting to me is that you started this prior to COVID. You started in November of 2019.
Mhm.
So what made you, because I understand what inspired it in 2020. A lot of bookstores opened in 2020 because
Right,
there was such a boom of people wanting Black stories. But in
right.
2019, what made you decide that I'm going to be the first in this area where there are no other Black bookstores?
Yeah. So honestly, I like to think of it as it was this. I won't say it was a lifelong dream, but it was a work in progress. So as a mother, I mentioned I have 2 children. That was always at the forefront of my mind. Like education was something that we constantly pushed in our household, and reading was a part of that. And so there was always this concerted effort from the time they were babies to find books that showed representation, and although they read all kinds of books. I mean, we were always in the library or bookstores. So although they read all types of things, it was really important for me to make sure that they were exposed to characters, one, that looked like them, and then two, just the greatness of Black people, like, our stories. And that was very difficult to find. And so fast forward of doing this for, out of 12, 13 years at this point, um, it really was just like this aha moment of, not every child has someone pushing them, you know, or making sure that they are exposed, making sure that they do see themselves. And so I think that, so I like to say, like, there were seeds being planted all along. And then in 2019, it was just kind of this aha moment. And it was like, this is needed. This is needed right now, you know. And that really was the push for opening the store. Yeah.
How is the reception been? Since 2020 has ended, things are getting back to normal. Now we have more options. People are getting out more. How's the reception been for your bookstore since then?
It's been great. I mean, we've continued to grow. It definitely is a difference. So yes, in 2020, everyone was like clamoring for anti-racism. I want to read, I want to educate myself. And I mean, as you can imagine, it's not a surprise that has, you see this spike and then it falls off, right? Because and I had no thoughts that that was going to be sustainable. You know how society works, right? It's what's here, what's now, and then, oh, I forgot about that, I'm on to the next thing. So even then, with our customers, we started relationship building and really talking about, like, even when they would come in and say, hey, can you recommend a book? It was always a conversation about, okay, here's your starting point, but what's next? Like, that's great for you to read a book on anti-racism, but what's next? And so, like, it can't stop there. And so I will say, like, we have a really amazing group of customers that have been following us since the beginning, that have been ordering with us before we even had a physical location. And then we, are always exposed to new people. With us being the only one in Austin, it has been received extremely well. We get a lot of people coming in that are visiting, that are intentional about looking for Black-owned bookstores to visit. We have, our local community that comes in looking for that. One of the other great things about Austin is they are very much into independent. And so for some people, it's not so much about us being a Black-owned bookstore as much as it is being an independent bookstore. They don't want to go to big box stores or online. Like, they want us to stay around. They want us in the community, And so again, it's about being intentional with your dollars. And so we've been received very well. Like I said, we've continued to grow. We've continued to develop relationships within the community, and it's been good. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Now, where'd your name come from? Black Pearl. What made you?
Black Pearl. Yeah. So, I kind of started with a list of names that, were possibilities. I think ultimately just what a Black Pearl represents, obviously it's Black. So culturally, the endurance of it, the strife, the rareness, I think all of those things symbolize who we are. So it was, it made sense. It made sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
Pearl is quite rare, and it's
yes,
quite
it is.
I love
And valuable.
yes.
And valuable. Exactly. Exactly. And I felt like that's what we have to offer. That's what we had to offer. So
Yeah, a lot of bookstores have said the same thing about 2020 in terms of having a rush of sales, of orders, and customers intentionally buying from a Black bookstore. And it lasted about 6 months or so in there. And some survived it and some didn't,
absolutely. Yeah.
But you can't build too much overhead and infrastructure for something that's a boomlet, because then you're stuck with the overhead and or the inventory that or both. And so some people didn't realize it was a boomlet.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I think you do. So I come from a business background. I think sometimes when people, creatives, have an idea or a passion, and that's what you follow. And so you're like, I have a passion. I can't tell you how many people have said, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to open a bookstore. Like, that's my dream, you know. And while I think like, I'm like, oh, I don't know if you want to do that. It's not, it's not the most lucrative dream. But
You're doing it to get rich. That's not a good motivation.
that is
You'll be
not.
disappointed.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. But just coming from, I worked in a corporate environment most of my career, and so just having that background, I had an understanding of business, and in about, let's see, about a year after I opened, my husband came on board with me. So, and he came from a corporate background. So between the two of us, like we our strengths are different, but they complement each other. And so yes, you're right. I think you have to be very cautious when you're opening a new business, any business. But the bookstore industry is very different than other retail businesses. But yes, you definitely have to be cautious. You have to understand like overhead and inventory, and not get in too deep, because you want to set yourself up for success, and you can't always depend on customers walking through the door. So,
Yeah.
So with that being said, though, do do you have events at your store that do bring people into the store?
we do. We have author events in the store. A lot of what we do is community focused, though. We have a lot of community events um, where we go out and do partnerships. But we have online sales. So we ship throughout the US. So we get orders from like all over the place. So that makes up a portion of our business. And then we actually, we have our walk-in traffic. We have our customers who order online and pick up in store. So that's a segment of our business. And then, yes, we do events. And then we also rent the space for events. And so people will have birthday parties, or, just kind of different activities or different events after hours. And so we utilize the space for that as well. So we have a few different ways that we utilize the space to generate income. Yeah,
Yeah, different streams of revenue is important.
absolutely.
Yeah, my husband and I had a brick and mortar bookstore for 10 years. So
Okay.
yeah, I understand. We started off online, and
Okay.
we both were in the business, and we both had different skill sets. So when you were talking about that, and so it's good to
Resonated.
complement. If you're working together, it's good if
Mm-hmm.
your skill sets complement each other, and there's less conflict because you're not competing, and you really aren't even in the same space necessarily, even if you are in the same building, because you're
Right.
working on different things.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where was your store?
Houston, that's where I live. That's where the show comes from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the store was in
Okay.
Houston, and we started the National Black Book Festival. So the store was from 2000 to 2010.
Okay.
We started the National Black Book Festival in 2007. So we still had the store open, but our focus turned to more marketing for authors instead, and
Right.
the retail became like a
Secondary.
lower and lower and lower part of
Hmm.
our business to almost down to zero. And so what we do is we do marketing promotion for authors. We do the National Black Book Festival every October.
Okay.
And we do this show now. This show came out of COVID. This show started in July of
Oh,
2020 because of COVID.
okay.
Yeah,
And
because
it
we
was a,
did the festival, and
uh-huh.
it took off immediately. So the show, we've interviewed over 600 people. We celebrated our 600th guest a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, so we do that. And so
That's awesome.
we try to keep our ear to the ground, stay relevant, stay on top
Yeah.
of what's new, trends in the industry, new
Okay.
new authors. Some authors, have been around forever. Some authors were
Hmm.
around when we first opened our store, and they're
Hmm.
still writing.
And they're still, yep. Yep.
They're still writing. But then
Yeah.
others, they come, they go. This is the
They
nature of
come and go.
it.
Yep. Yep. And I think it's, and so you will understand as a bookseller, I think as a Black bookseller, as a Black author, as any Black in this publishing space, it's difficult, right? And so that is amazing that you guys are doing this and focusing on Black authors to, have them get their shine, have them as a way for them to get their material out, and people to be aware of them, because it's difficult. That we definitely don't get the same benefits.
For some authors, this
and
is their
everything.
biggest platform.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah. That is so great, man.
Yeah. Every Tuesday since July of 2020, with very few exceptions.
Uh-huh.
Very few, like once or
Yeah.
maybe 2 times a year we don't have the show. The
Okay.
holidays, but we have the show every single
But you
Tuesday.
have the show, yeah.
Yeah,
And so
we've
what
always
started
been a co-author. We've always been a co-author from day one. We did.
okay.
We thought when we first started, we thought we were going to be switching off, like
Mhm.
me 1 week and her 1 week.
Right.
But
Uh-huh.
when we did the first show,
We just
that
played
was
off
It
each
it.
other,
worked.
well.
It worked. Yes. Yes. And what started as a need, like you did this because you couldn't do the festival
Right.
because of, a
Oh,
pandemic. So it started out that way, but look how far it's gone, like the longevity of it. Like, that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
We
Sometimes
met some great
surprise
people
stuff.
through this show.
We all, from all walks of life, and top authors, debut authors, everything
Okay.
in between. We've had at least 20 bookstores on the show over the years.
Oh,
At least
wow.
20. If
Okay.
I had to add them up, it might be 30. It's been a lot.
Yeah.
We have book clubs
Mhm.
that come
Okay.
on. We have publishers come on, publicists, people that have book projects like nonprofits with book
Okay.
projects. Anybody in the book space,
In the book space you talk
we,
to.
we talk to, and
Yes.
we even talk to non-Black people that have a book that's about Black people. So we've had some great guests who weren't Black.
Who weren't Black. Yes. Well, we carry same thing. We carry non-Black books in our store, right?
Are you all carrying the book American Sirens?
Yes.
That was the author we had on. We had him on about, I want to say 2 months ago, about the
Okay.
paramedics. The first paramedics in America were Black. And so,
Yes. So interestingly enough, there was a conference last year here, and he was the guest speaker, and I went as the bookseller for the conference. And so I met him.
okay,
Yes. And
Hazard, his
he was
last name.
autographing it. Yes, yes.
Okay, it's a small world.
Yep.
But we are, and we don't apologize for it. I've had, every now and then some snarky racist will put in the comments why, this is racist to have a Black, either the National Black Book Festival or Black Authors Matter TV, and I just block them and ban them, but and delete their messages. But it's important for us to have our own platforms, because we can't, if we sit around and wait for some shine or pub somewhere else, it's not coming.
It's not going to happen.
It's not
Right.
going to happen. So
No, it's not
we
going to
need to have
happen.
our own spaces. We don't apologize for it.
Right.
And like I said, we have non-Black people on if there's subject matter that's about
Right.
Black people.
Black
So
people. Right.
yeah,
Right.
we
Yeah.
do
And
that.
I think historically that's what we've always been able to do, is create our own space when we weren't allowed or weren't accepted into other spaces.
Yeah,
Right.
we're very good at doing that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's necessary. I mean, if we don't, then we don't survive, right? Like,
Right, we don't, because only a handful of Black authors get pub,
yeah,
to get the limelight, the exposure. They'll get
yeah,
mentions on shows. They'll get a book club, a national book club reading their book.
yeah,
It's a handful of people.
yeah.
And so what about the rest of the
What
people?
about the rest? Right. And then they become irrelevant, right? And
Right.
that's,
And they
I
won't
mean,
survive. You can't sell books if you can't get exposure. That's just And only,
That's it.
I'm happy.
people can't go, not everybody can go riding around and trying to sell books out of the trunk of your car. That was real popular when we first opened our bookstore. So many people were doing that, just selling books on the street. And because
Really?
there was a lot, they were selling books out of the trunk of their car, especially like in New York, where
Wow.
because Quan got his start selling books on the street with a table, selling books on the street. That's how he got started.
Wow.
So now he's got like 40 books, and he's been on the show a few times. And he's also been a featured author at the book festival. He's going to be there this year. So
Okay. What are the dates of the book festival this year?
October 17th through the 19th.
17th
It's
through
a
the
weekend,
19th.
but we start
Okay.
Thursday night, and then that's the opening reception, and then we do all day Friday, all day Saturday.
Okay.
So
I'll
we'd
have to
love
check it
you
out.
to
That's
come
great.
if you get an
Yeah.
Yeah, I know those are,
Ab-
you might need to be open yourself at your store, but we would love to see you there. And um I might be, me and our team,
Mhm.
we're hoping, we're planning to be at the Texas Book Festival in Austin.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
Taking that festival as
November.
well?
Do
I'm
you do
sorry.
you do
I'm
you have
saying,
do you participate in that event?
We don't. We don't participate in it in the sense of like having a booth space there. We do attend. So like Saturday we're open. Sundays, like this past one, we went on Sunday. We do some things with them. So they have this program where the authors come in and visit schools. And so we will provide books for the schools, and but that's not a visible on-site type thing, but we do have a relationship with the Texas Book Festival. One of the other things that we do is it depends on what night, but usually the evening before it starts, we have a Black authors meetup at our store. So
Okay.
that's a lot of fun, and we get a really good turnout. Authors love it because it really is just low key, like meet and greet, hang out. We, have like last year we had a bar there, like a bartender. And so it was a lot of fun. So we have a relationship with them. We do some things around it, but we don't have like a booth or anything like that at the Texas Book Festival. Yeah.
Okay.
oh,
Well, what
okay.
we're planning to do is, because we still operate under our cushcity.com umbrella for everything,
Mhm.
which is our bookstore's name. That was our online bookstore, the physical bookstore. We still operate under that. We
What was
still
the name of it? What's the name of it?
cushcity.com, CUSHCITY. And
So
so we still order from Ingram because we still have
Okay.
customers that buy books from us, even though we haven't had a bookstore since 2010.
That's awesome.
So we're going to, I'm going as an author because
Okay.
I have 15 books. And so I have the managers that are with the book festival, they're all authors too.
Okay.
So we're going to get a booth under Kush City and have our books there and share the cost because it's very
Gotcha.
expensive. Their booths are quite expensive.
Yeah, they are. They are. And for us, it just doesn't make any, I mean, there are other local bookstores that are there, that we know, and we stop and visit their booths and say, hey, but it just doesn't make sense for us. And we'd have to close our store on Saturday. Like it just doesn't make
Right.
sense. Yeah.
Right. Well, we're all bringing our own books to sell. So
Right.
but
Okay.
if it's going to be 6 of us, I think, maybe 7.
Okay.
So we're just gonna come and share the
Come.
cost. So it makes it
Yes.
really affordable for each person.
That makes it affordable. Yeah. Well, I will, we get a chance to go next year or this year, I guess it is now. I will definitely check you out. But when you're in town, please stop by our store. We'd love to have you in and, sit and chat and meet the other authors. So we'd love
Okay,
that.
well, I will definitely reach out to you before we go so
Okay.
we can arrange everything and make sure I think it's like the middle of November this year. So it's
Is
like
okay. I don't know the dates. It's always, and sometimes it's like the first
sometimes it's
weekend in November.
early. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this year is not. It's like the 15th or 17th, or it's in there. It's in the middle of
Okay.
the because it's
Okay.
a month after ours. So ours is October 17th to the 19th, and it's a
So
month
it's like that
after.
next week, right? A month, that weekend.
A month.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a
Yeah.
little space in between. Well,
Yeah. Well, good.
Katrina, thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I have one more question. Where in Austin is your store? Is it downtown? Is it a mall? Is it
So yeah, it's in North Central Austin is the
okay?
area. Yeah. The address is 7112 Burnett Road.
Okay.
So but it's considered North Central Austin. Yep. So
Okay.
yeah, please stop in. Listeners, please stop in. One of the other things I do want to mention before we get off is we also have
Okay.
a nonprofit called Put It in a Book. And
Oh,
so I mentioned like a lot of our community partnerships. We do a lot through our nonprofit as well. So we have Black Pearl Books, which is our for-profit business, but we have a nonprofit that works alongside the bookstore. Yeah.
okay.
And we can find information about the nonprofit on your website.
On our website, absolutely. Yep.
Wonderful. Well, we did put the link to the website in the chat. So
Okay. Great.
everybody who's in the Austin area, the greater Austin area, make sure you go to the website and then actually visit the store and say hello.
Yeah,
Some
please
support.
do. Please do. And when you come in, let me know you saw me on Black Authors Matter. So I
Okay.
love that.
Well,
All
thank you so
All
much
right.
for being on the show
For
tonight.
sure.
You know, it's a little later where I am because I'm in the DMV, the DC
Oh,
area.
okay.
So it's 10
Yep.
o'clock here, but it's 9 o'clock where you are. So if you like me, you probably would have been in bed by now anyway. So I appreciate you being the last one on the show, closing the show out, and just chatting it up with us. Congratulations on all you've accomplished with Black Pearl
Thank
Books.
you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You have a great night.
You do the same. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.